4:07 ago, I watched a video, and I would suggest that you would watch it too.
Wow, I didn't expect that. How many times have you said that in the past year? How about the past month? Maybe even the last week? Have you found yourself going somewhere, expecting to do one thing, but ending up doing something different? I didn't expect that. Or I didn't plan it that way. That may not always be a bad thing. David was taking food to his brothers at the front lines. You see, the Israelites were at war with the Philistines, and standing in their way was a Philistine warrior standing slightly less than 10 feet tall. David was just bringing lunch to his brothers. He didn't plan on what was to happen next, but notice he didn't walk away from it either. A little boy had his lunch with him, 5 small barley-loaves and 2 small fish, when he went to hear a speaker. Little did he know that his lunch would become a food truck for 5,000 people. He didn't expect that. Again, notice that the boy did not shy away from being available and being used. He could have said that it was just enough for him, but he didn't. A widow followed her mother-in-law to a strange land to help support her. Ruth expected to live out her days taking care of her mother-in-law. She didn't expect that she would be noticed by a well-to-do man who was respected by the community. She didn't expect that he would marry her, and she certainly didn't expect to become the great-grandmother of David, the future king of Israel. A Pharisee was on his way to destroy a group of believers at Damascus. Saul was on a mission, but not the kind we'd like to see. His mission was to destroy these believers and wipe out the church. But Jesus had another plan. Saul did not expect this. Actually, neither did the believers at first. An encounter with Jesus can change most dramatic of our plans. You were asked to be a table facilitator at a class for new believers or seekers. Just be a helper of the class leader and a small group of people around a table who were taking the class. But I believe God had other plans from the beginning. It may have taken a little while, but the facilitator eventually became the leader of the class. And then there was Mary Magdalene, who sat crying by an empty tomb on Easter morning, wondering who stole the body of Jesus, when she heard a voice call, "Mary." And then came the really big, "I didn't expect that." You can read the whole story in the Gospel of John, chapter 20. So have you ever found yourself going somewhere, expecting to do one thing, but ending up doing something different? I didn't expect that. Don't tell me this can't happen to you. Do you really believe that God is the God of the impossible? If you really do believe this, then I guess the impossible becomes the possible. Notice from the examples given, a few things were found. One was that the person involved was available to change. One case needed a more drastic intervention, though, before it became available. I heard a saying on a TV show where the one actor told the other to expect the unexpected. I think if we just expect what we expect, we limit God. I often read or heard a question that asks, "How big is your God?" Or maybe you've been told, "Your God is too small." We do serve a very big God. He turned a prisoner in an Egyptian dungeon into the second in command of Egypt. Only the Pharaoh had more power. Also, does God part the Red Sea, take down the walls of Jericho, take down a giant using a shepherd boy and a stone, turn a captive teenager into a top position under 4 different Gentile rulers in Babylon, and a common group of fishermen and ordinary people into a group that began a church. Finally, he redirected Saul, now known as Paul, from a church destroyer to a church planner and writer. So what's your excuse? Don't say God can't use me. That's an insult to God. I used to quote by Hudson Taylor in an earlier video, and I think it fits well here also. God isn't looking for people with great faith, just for individuals ready to follow him. Are you ready to expect the unexpected? Does that scare you? Or does it set a fire in you? Just remember, be available and then follow, and then expect the unexpected.